Barone. I'm the press secretary at the DOT. Without further ado, I'll introduce the Commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation, Ydanis Rodriguez.
Thank you. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. This is the type of press conference that we had to continue doing it, but one day we hope that we will never have to, coming together, addressing this issue and asking Albany for reauthorization. New York City should have the power to regulate everything related to transportation, but we have to live with what we have. We have great partners in Albany, assembly members and senators who are always taking care of us. My name is Ydanis Rodriguez, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation, and on behalf of Mayor Eric Adams, we want to thank you, everyone, for being here. We've been in Albany together. We have great friends in D.C. and at the City Council, too. Speeding drivers are the leading cause of traffic deaths on our street, accounting for a quarter of all fatalities. And this is a number that can be eradicated. And that's why we are here today, never give up, and continue doing whatever we can. In a collision, the speed of your vehicle often can be the deciding factor of life and death. If you hit someone at 30 miles per hour, you are twice as likely to kill a pedestrian than if you hit them at 25 miles per hour. So that difference of the 10 miles per hour make a difference of life or death in our street. And this is something that we control, and this is something that we are committed to eradicating. One of the best tools we have to prevent the speeding is our speed camera program, where we install new cameras in 2023. Severe injury had dropped 30%. Right here, it's a good numbers. We want to take it to, eradicate it completely, but this is a good progress. Yes, right here on West 66th Street, nearby a speed camera has led to 75% drop in instance of speeding. So definitely this is having more speed camera and reauthorization of the speed camera is a tool that is necessary to change the culture on how people drive in our street, and that save lives. But if Albany doesn't add to renew our camera program, we will be forced to turn off this camera and every camera around the city on July 1st, putting everyone at risk. But we know that in Albany, we have leaders, we have champions. They carry this for the city of New York, and they are committed to do whatever they have to do to be sure that we get the reauthorization. And I got to say, in the previous year, in both leadership at the Senate and the Assembly, and the governor, they always been with the city. So we just hope that together we will get the reauthorization of the speed camera. Today we are calling Albany to pass legislation sponsored by Senator Granados and Assemblymember Deborah Glake, and the other Assembly member, Rosenthal from her district, leaders not only for the city but for Albany on this initiative. We want to renew our program for the next 5 years. While the majority of drivers change their behavior after receiving one or two violations, we know there's a very small number of extremely reckless drivers who continue to speed no matter how many violations they receive. Data shows these drivers are disproportionately causing serious crashes and endangering New Yorkers on our street. A driver that has received 16 speed camera violation in a year is twice as likely to be involved in a crash that seriously injures or kills someone. A driver that has received more than 20 violations is 5 times as likely to be involved in such crash. We are standing here with Joe, who will share his personal story. He lost his partner, Amanda Cerverio, in a crash caused by a driver with 46 speed camera violations in just 1 year. Joe, it's nothing we can do. We're bringing loved one back. We appreciate that you have turned your pain to fight for justice so that no other individual, no other New Yorkers or visitors go through the everyday pain that you have. So thank you also for being a voice of so many New Yorkers and members of family for Save the Street. That, as we said before, it's a club that we don't want a new member to join in because all of them have lost a loved one. So, and I want to thank TA also for being a leader, also working with Family for Save the Street, advocating in Albany, in the city. They never gave up, and the role also make a difference when we are able to persuade those legislators at the Assembly and the Senate that, need to be educated on why the speed camera is an important tool to reduce speeding in our street. Hoy, en 1 minute, hoy en español, en 1 minute, estamos aquí hoy a nombre del alcalde Ray Gardens con líderes nacional como Nadler, el congresista, asambleísta como Rosenthal y otros también que tenemos aquí, que son líderes que trabajan con nosotros. Familia por calle segura, transportación alternativa. La razón por la que estamos en este momento es porque en julio 1 se termina la autorización de tener la cámara funcionando en la ciudad de Nueva York. En lugares como estamos aquí, donde Joe, que es parte de Family for Save the Street, perdió su partner, una persona que no debió de morir, pero que fue golpeada por una persona que tenía 66 violaciones en 1 año. Nosotros hoy estamos aquí pidiendo 2 cosas, que se reautoricen lo que es el speed camera y que también el Estado de Nueva York tome otra iniciativa para mantener a los choferes reduciendo la velocidad en este lugar. The reason why we are here, besides asking the reauthorization of the speed camera, is because also we know that the technology is showing that if we install technology inside vehicle, on those individuals that they have numbers of violations, it can work. And the city already is proving that it's working. That's why we support legislation from Senator Granados and Assemblymember Emily Gallagher to install a speed limiter inside vehicles of the most dangerous speeders on our roadways. We know this technology works. The city has already been a champion. We are the leading city in the nation installing this limiter in our municipal vehicles, and instances of speeding were completely eliminated. So we want to use the same technology in those individuals that they have a large number of speeding violations too. Let's do the same for most reckless drivers in New York. Before we get into the elective, Congressman, I want to get Joe, the first one on behalf of the Family for Save the Street, to come and say a few words, and then we get the word from the congressman and the other elected officials.
Thank you. Sorry, just if you'll give me a second, I'm not exactly as used to speaking like this. So I'm here because Amanda was killed by a super speeder over 6 months ago. To call her my friend or my partner or any of these words really doesn't do it justice. She was my confidant. She was my partner in exploring the city. She was my greatest supporter. Amanda was special to me, to her family, her friends, and those who knew and loved her. The driver who killed Amanda had racked up over 90 speed camera and red light camera violations in the 2 years prior to when she was killed. Just like Natasha, Diana, Deborah, and Danielle are important to their family, friends, and loved ones who they were also so untimely taken from. Driving in New York State is a privilege. Those that repeatedly violate our driving laws should lose or have those privileges limited in ways that make our streets safer. We need the state legislature to pass the Stop Super Speeders bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now let's hear from Congressman Nadler and the Assembly members who are great leaders and champion and partners in this cause.
So thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Commissioner Ydanis Rodriguez for organizing this rally, and thank you for the unwavering support of street safety advocates who tirelessly fight for safer streets for all of us. It's undeniable that speed cameras in school zones save lives. The evidence clearly shows that the presence of cameras, along with the threat of speed infractions, encourages safe driving in school zones and forces drivers to slow down. Unfortunately, unless reauthorized this legislative session, speed cameras in New York City will have to be turned off on July 1st. The legislature must reauthorize speed cameras in New York City now before the end of the legislative session. Additionally, I fully support new legislation by Senator Andrew Gennardis and Assemblywoman Emily Gallagher to rein in so-called super speeders. Any reckless driver who receives more than 6 speed or red tickets in a 2-year period would be required to install speed limiters in their vehicle, which will physically prevent them from going 5 miles per hour over the posted street speed limit. This small group of reckless drivers who continue to speed regardless of how many violations they receive are far more likely to be involved in major collisions that result in severe injury or death. We must hold these super speeders accountable and install speed limiters in their vehicles to safeguard our community and our streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Now let's hear from Emily and Linda, two great champions, two great partners for New York City Department of Transportation. You figure out the order.
Hi, everyone. I'm Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal. I represent this district, 67th, which is Upper West Side, parts of Hell's Kitchen, and I am glad to be here because Albany session is not done. We still have a lot of work left to do, and among the work that we have left to do is addressing a problem that occurs all over the city, and that is speeders, people who speed and cause death, and speed cameras. So we know that speed cameras are effective at reducing speed. At this very intersection, a nearby speed camera led to a 75% reduction in speeding since its installation in 2020. I forgot to mention I'm also the Assembly sponsor of Sammy's Law, which was a long fight, a big fight, but with the champions here, TA, Families for Safer Streets, Commissioner Rodriguez, and my colleagues, we passed in the state budget. And that bill and that law has saved lives by allowing the city to reduce the speed limit. Now, this is just in furtherance of that goal. We know that super speeders like that one endanger people's lives. And a driver with more than 30 or more violations is 50 times as likely to be involved in a fatal or severe injury crash. We saw the heartbreaking death of Dwight Downer in the Bronx late last year. We heard about Amanda's death. Emily Gallagher will talk about what happens in her district, but I'm a proud sponsor of Stop Super Speeders bill. Would require installation of speed assist technology in the vehicles of the super speeders, because if tickets and the law don't stop them, maybe this will. We are also here to continue the bill introduced by Deborah Glick to renew our speed camera program. Now, one thing that people who oppose these measures say, it is just a money grab. So here's what we have to say to you. If you don't want to pay a ticket, then obey the law. The whole point of this is to make people obey the law. We'd rather collect no fines, no money, and keep people safe and alive. And hopefully, and I think we will, pass these two measures in Albany in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Assemblymember Emily Gallagher, and I am the proud sponsor of the Stop Super Speeders Law. in the New York State Assembly alongside Andrew Gennardis in the State Senate. I am the representative of District 50, Williamsburg and Greenpoint, a community that was carved apart by Robert Moses and the BQE and a number of cut-through roads like McGinnis Boulevard, which led to people super speeding throughout my community to get from one highway to the next. And through my 20 years in this city, I've seen so many neighbors and friends mowed down by super speeders, and I have attended far too many vigils to even remember all of the many people that have had their lives senselessly ended by impatience and ineptitude. And I am here to say that this is an infrastructure problem and it is an enforcement problem. We know that with super speeders, these are people who have already accumulated red light tickets and speeding tickets over and over and over again. In some cases, they have hundreds of these kind of tickets on their record. They have suspended licenses, but it is not enough because they are still able to get behind the wheel of a car because there is lack of enforcement and lack of oversight. And what we really need to do is change the infrastructure of driving. So what my super speeders bill says is that if you are one of the people who seem to be unable to retrain yourself to drive at a slower speed, we will give you interlock technology that will slow you down. And it will make it so that your car cannot go over the speed limit, and that is connected to GPS so that as you move through the city and through the state, your car is actually training you to drive appropriately. This is absolutely imperative. Just a few years ago, my whole community galvanized around a beloved special needs teacher, Matthew Jensen, who was mowed down by a super speeder. We've put in some infrastructure changes on McGinnis Boulevard that have led to incredible success at slowing down traffic. And I know that these carceral solutions are not the ones that are working. Suspending a license hasn't worked. Giving people tickets, fines, they haven't worked. We need to intervene in a more serious way. And what we've seen through pilots throughout the city is that these interlock devices actually do retrain people. And we find that people actually enjoy driving with them. And in fact, this technology has become something that in other countries is being universally implemented into their cars because it is that successful. It's time for New York to catch up with the rest of the world and start taking reckless driving seriously. Reckless driving kills as many people as guns in this country, and we need to take it as seriously as that. Cars can be weapons on our roads, and we need to make sure that only responsible people have access to them. So I am here to stand with my federal and state counterparts, my city counterparts. We've had incredible success with the speed camera bill. We've had incredible success where people get one red light ticket and then they stop driving that way. It actually really helps people retrain their brain. So if we want to have cars on the streets of this city, we need to have responsible drivers in the driver's seat. And it is up to us as the state to make sure that that happens. So I am here urging our state to pass my bill. And I look forward to a day where we can all use whatever means of transportation that we choose to get safely, calmly around the city in a peaceful manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Before, I also want to give the opportunity to Elizabeth from TA to come and say a few words, but I want to acknowledge the great job of the intergovernmental team. Danielle and Miranda, they're here. They're the one that have been going with me to Albany since I took office in 22, putting the data, going to the elected officials, and with the leadership with Rick, also they're doing a great job. And Erin, a great lawyer, former members of the DA, also is the one who is leading our Vision Zero, working with other members of the team. We are a data driving agency, and they're the one who are putting the numbers and the images. So thank you for the great job that you do. Let's hear from Elizabeth from TA to come and say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Adams with Transportation Alternatives. Speed cameras save lives, and TA is proud to be a strong proponent of automated enforcement for speed safety because it works. Already, severe traffic injuries have declined nearly 30% at locations where there are recently installed speed cameras, and 75% just here. And when we're talking about severe injuries, I just want to be clear what we mean. These are extremely severe injuries. This is loss of limb, organ failure, situations that are major devastations for a person's life, for their family and community lives, and that we have the tools to address. Speed cameras are also good for the driver. The vast majority of people who get 1 or 2 speeding tickets do not speed again, keeping themselves and their communities safe. Speed safety cameras are making our neighborhoods safer and changing driver behavior for the better. But for a small minority of speeders, what we call super speeders, tickets do not deter them. And that is where the Stop Super Speeders bill comes in. Together, these two measures go a long way to improve street safety for New York and to help us reach our goal of achieving Vision Zero. TA recently put out a report on the top 10 super speeders in New York City, and they are all around the map. These are people who are getting hundreds of tickets each year and racking up thousands of dollars in fines. The top speeder last year got over 560 speeding tickets in just 1 year. 560. That is more than 1 speeding ticket every 16 hours, which means every day that this bill does not pass is a day that a super speeder is on our streets getting another ticket and putting someone's life at risk. And as the Assembly member said, some of these people may get their license suspended, but 75% of drivers with suspended licenses drive anyway. We need more tools. This bill is simple. It uses basic technology for safety. The Stop Super Speeders bill would require drivers with a high number of tickets to have their speed limiter installed in their car. And we are talking about a very small proportion of drivers. Just 1.5% of vehicles registered in New York State have 6 or more speeding tickets. So we are talking about 1.5% of drivers in New York State that would be eligible for this legislation that applies to 6 or more speeding tickets. This bill just applies to those who seriously need it. We've done things like this before as well. New York requires an ignition interlock device be put in the vehicles of drunk drivers. It is not out of the realm of what we are already expecting of people who are driving on our streets. And that is why bills like this are passing at lightning speed across the country. DC, Virginia, Georgia, Washington State have all passed legislation like the Stop Super Speeders within the last year alone because it is common sense. And lastly, I just want to say that I'm a new parent, and I think about the fact that traffic violence and traffic crashes is the top 1 or sometimes 2, depending on the year, leading cause of death of children. And it is entirely preventable. We have the tools to keep our children safe. We have the tools to keep our community safe. And it is unconscionable if we do not do everything that we can. Thank you.